The Ticket.
Tomorrow, your sweet deal. I love this place. The Pork Belly Restaurant, downtown Kuna. My favorite breakfast spot in the entire state of Idaho. You give us $25, we'll hook you up with $50 to spend at the Pork Belly. That's breakfast and lunch, 9 a.m. Visit KTIK.com and get what should be rightfully yours. I got Bob Behler in for Michael Forrest Prater this week on Prater and the Ballgame. Prater will be back next week. Excited to get him back. But right now, he's enjoying his vacation, Bob, and you're getting some more mic time this week, and it's been a good week so far. We got today, and obviously tomorrow we'll wrap things up this week.
Enjoyed it. We've had a chance to visit with some good people. And tomorrow, I know we're going to talk with Tyreek Jones, much like we did with Brett Rippon.
Yeah,
he's finishing his OTAs this week as a undrafted free agent with the Tennessee Titans. So one of my favorite players here, too, and want to see what his experience was like. I'm thinking maybe it went well. Because, you know, if you're going to go on and talk with people, I'm thinking you probably feel pretty good about it.
Right? I mean, Tyreek had a horrible mini camp, and I texted him this morning, said, hey, Tyreek, why don't you come on the show tomorrow and let's talk about your first week as an NFL player for mini camp. If it went poorly, like you told me earlier, he's probably not texting back, is he? Right? If it went well, you're thinking, yeah, okay, I'll jump on with those guys. So Tyreek got back to me earlier today, and he's coming tomorrow, Friday, 5 o'clock. You'll hear what it's like as an undrafted rookie free agent to participate in a mini camp. And one of our favorites, like you said, Tyreek Jones. All right, Bob, AFC quarterbacks. Bob, it's never been this deep, right? The shift from one conference being that much better than the other conference has never been this vast, right? The separation from the AFC quarterbacks to the NFC quarterbacks. It's striking, Bob. It really is.
And I asked you the question, if you thought maybe the AFC teams were more willing to spend money, or were just being more aggressive, and you think it's just coincidence,
total happenstance,
that all of these people, and then you even have guys that have moved that have been some of the better quarterbacks in the NFC, and guys like Rodgers and Wilson that have moved over to the AFC to, you know, make it deeper. And I don't have either of those two guys as elite.
Yeah, Bob has 3 quarterbacks he feels in the AFC are elite.
And then to your point on how good it is, then the next level I think is extremely good, and then the next level is very good.
Yeah, right. Okay, give me your top 3 then. You're elite, and we do have the 5 folks who guessed this correctly earlier in the show, and we're going to pick one of their names out of our hat here and contact them, and they'll get Dirks Bentley tickets for August 10th at the Idaho Center Amphitheater. That's the Ford Idaho Center Amphitheater. So, Bob, who you got? Who's the elite quarterbacks in the AFC?
Mahomes is number 1, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I decided to make the elite is you can only be so far behind Mahomes to be elite. So I felt the only 2 recently that have been close enough, that have done enough with their teams to fall in that category, are Allen and Burrow.
Okay.
Or Burrow and Allen, however you want to
Joe Burrow and Josh Allen.
Correct.
So you say it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. For you, those 3 are the only elite quarterbacks in the AFC as we sit right now. So you said no Justin Herbert. You said no Aaron Rodgers. You said no Lamar Jackson. I mean, I could go on and on. There's that many high-level quarterbacks in the AFC. Obviously, no Trevor Lawrence. You're sticking with those 3, huh?
And then I have my next 3 that I think are the right behind them. I've got Herbert, I've got Lawrence, and I've got Rodgers.
Okay.
As far as guys that I would rate wanting to play for me, and I'm going to say it for a year. If you told me that we're looking down the road and I'm going to have these guys for 5 years, Aaron Rodgers is out of the list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't think he'll be good in 5 years, and I don't want to put up with the headache for 5 years.
What do you guys think? 208-424-9300. You like, you hate, what do you have? You can call, you can text our Cloverdale Plumbing text line. We'll put you on until we move any further, Bob. You see the hat there with the picks there on the table. Pick one of those and tell me who you picked, and this is the winner of Dirks Bentley tickets on August 10th. Pull it out and give me the name, Bobby.
The name is Travis.
Travis, what's going on, dude? You are going to Dirks Bentley simply because you are on the same wavelength as Bob Behler when it comes to the elite level AFC quarterbacks. Travis, if you're still listening, give us a call. If not, JP, we'll get that going on later on in the show.
Now, am I too stingy? I put 3 as elite, Johnny. You follow the NFL a lot more closely than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Would you put more in the club?
Bob, to be honest, no, you're not too stingy. If I'm separating these quarterbacks for me, and, Buffalo Bills, love ya, but I have Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow in a class by themselves in the AFC. I think they are better. They've been to Super Bowls, and that's the only reason kind of I separate Joe Burrow from Josh Allen. I've now seen Josh Allen, he went to the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago, but the last 2 years they've lost in the divisional round, Bob, and I need to see him win a bigger game. I put a huge emphasis on winning the biggest games of the year as far as how good the quarterback is. Now, I get it. There's a lot of other parts, but for me, I need you to go, and I need like Joe Burrow went to Buffalo and beat Josh Allen. He went to Arrowhead, and beat Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago. He goes in slays. Now, for me, though, I have another level of elite. I have the next group, and that's where I have Josh Allen in this mix in the AFC. And Trevor Lawrence, I know he's young, but last year I saw what him and Doug Peterson were able to do and the talent they're building there in Jacksonville. If you look at the last 8 to 10 weeks of the regular season, statistically speaking, only Patrick Mahomes was better. Fantasy football owners know this. Trevor Lawrence was the second best quarterback in fantasy for the last 8, 9, 10 weeks last year, putting up numbers. And it wasn't just a numbers game. They were winning. They rallied. They won the division. He beat Justin Herbert in a playoff game that he probably had no business winning. That's kind of my next group. I have Aaron Rodgers, obviously, in that group. And you didn't have this guy, but he has won a league MVP. I've seen it. I've seen his record. I think he wins almost 70% of his starts. And that's Lamar Jackson. I have a what about category, what aboutism. What about Lamar Jackson? Why is he not on anybody's list here? But he's just not a polished enough passer. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to win 70% of your starts. It doesn't look the same, Bob, as a Mahomes or a Joe Burrow. But at the end of the day, I've seen him win a league MVP. I haven't seen Joe Burrow win one. I haven't seen Josh Allen win one.
No, but the last year he's kind of been coming off some injuries where he hasn't played. So sometimes the greatest ability is availability. Okay. And for me, that would be my concern. I probably should have put him in group 2, not group 3.
Deshaun Watson hadn't played for 2 years. Okay. And then he comes back last year with Cleveland, or maybe it was 1 full year. He did not play, right? He played in 20, didn't play in 21. Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, they finished 7-10 last year, and Watson didn't get there until week 9 or 10. And I know nobody likes Deshaun Watson, and that's fine with me. I don't love the guy either, but I'm looking at the best quarterbacks in the AFC. I've seen Deshaun Watson play at an exceptionally high level in this league. He's kind of on my don't forget about list. Don't forget about Deshaun Watson with Cleveland. He might be able to have a really nice season. Another guy I have on that don't forget about is Tua. Everybody wants to get Tua out of the league with another concussion. The Dolphins made the playoffs last year, and Tua had a pretty good year, and he's still getting better every year. I think Tua is crazy. I could name 6 or 7 quarterbacks that I like more than Tua in the AFC. But if I put Tua in the NFC, I'm thinking Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, maybe Tua. He might be that high on the list. I don't have to, in Kirk Cousins' neighborhood of the NFC. That's how different it is. The AFC is just packed. And then obviously, don't forget about real quick, Russell Wilson's in my don't forget about. Don't forget about Russ. The guy's had an exceptional career. He had one really bad year. Yes, it happened to be last year, but I don't think there's a lot of people driving in their car right now that are going to be floored, shocked to the ground if Russell Wilson and Sean Payton figure some stuff out next year and Denver gets competitive again.
He has a lot more going for him with Sean Payton than they did last year. There's no question about that.
Yep.
You look at that NFC list. You mentioned towards the top of the list, Prescott and Cousins. They don't even get in the door on this in the AFC. If you're saying let's talk about best quarterbacks in the league, they're out in the waiting room.
You said Prescott and who?
And Cousins.
Yeah,
they're in the waiting room.
They are. Kirk Cousins is in the neighborhood in the AFC where maybe I have like a Jimmy Garoppolo if he's healthy starting for the Raiders. I know you're not, or Mac Jones. That's the type of neighborhood Kirk Cousins is probably in.
I'd take
AFC.
Kirk Cousins over both of those guys.
Kirk Cousins over Ryan Tannehill. I would go Cousins over there.
Yes,
too. And Tannehill's now an afterthought in Tennessee, and we don't. Maybe Will Levis is his replacement at some point, and it's just going to be interesting to see. Trevor Lawrence, put him in the NFC. It'd probably be Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Geno Smith. I was doing this for the NFC just for kicks and gigs. I have Geno Smith like 5th in my NFC quarterbacking order. Geno Smith is living in a trailer park, no disrespect, when it comes to AFC quarterbacks. He's right where I would have, Kenny Pickett? But if you're a Steeler fan and you're hearing all these quarterbacks, all this talk, and the NFL has never been more reliant on great quarterback play than it is right now, in my opinion. And if you're a Steeler fan, you really need Kenny Pickett to make a big jump this year, Bobby.
And he may really not. I mean, are you holding breath for that?
No, I'm not. I mean, maybe in a year or two. But think about this: as lousy as we think the Steeler quarterback situation may be, they went 9-8 last year. They almost made the playoffs. The only reason they didn't is they lost out on a tiebreaker. I mean, Mike Tomlin, my gosh, you know how to coach football. And 9-8 with that team, Bob. What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, Pickett, Jones. I'm not a fan of Tunga Vailoa.
Don't you like?
He seems to get hurt a lot.
He's a lefty.
No, that doesn't bother me.
He's kind of puny.
I think so.
I mean, I think that's what bugs. Why don't you guys like Tua either? Nobody likes Tua. I don't know what it is. Lefty, I don't know. But, man, he was slinging it last year with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and completes a high-level percentage of his passes. And the Dolphins went to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. And think about this. The Dolphins were one of the only teams, I think, to make the playoffs. They might have been the only team that made the playoffs last year that gave up more points than they scored. It is tough in the NFL to make the playoffs when your defense gives up more points than your offense scores. Oh, yeah, the only other team to do it, I believe, was the Minnesota Vikings, and that was the craziest 13-4 season I've ever seen.
Because every loss they had, they got trounced.
Yeah, that was one of those deals. Fair or foul, daily life annoyances. This is Bob Behler and JP at their finest. We're playing it. Don't forget to Counting Crows tickets later this hour. So hang by that phone. Bob's in for Prater. It's Prater in the Ballgame. Idaho Sports Talk. KTIK, the Ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Ticket Traffic.